Hi, my name is Claudia, and I'm gonna share my story with y'all about how I ended up hating my family because we were poor and I felt disconnected from their sad world. But you'll see how things turn around, and I learned a lesson I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Are y'all ready for this tale? Let's go. I never forgave my parents for being poor. Since I was young, I would look at rich kids and wonder why fate had to make me born into a family with no past or future. My dad was a blue-collar worker in a factory, and my mom worked as a maid for wealthy people in the city. When I turned 10, I asked them if I could live with my aunt, who married a big shoe merchant and improved her financial status. They reluctantly agreed, and I moved to the capital city to enjoy the comforts of people who never had children. I was so happy to leave behind the worry and the daily struggle for survival. With my aunt, no one counts how much rice or sugar we have, and we never worry if we have enough firewood for the winter. I went to the best school and received an education that I never even dreamed of. My friends weren't just the children of farmers or small business owners. They were the offspring of wealthy global company owners and influential politicians. With them, I felt like I belonged and never felt like there was any difference between us. To justify why I was living with my aunt, I made up a tragic story about my parents dying in a private plane crash in the Alps. My buddies were all wide-eyed when they heard my story, and I even shed a tear or two to convince anyone who still had doubts. I grew up in a world of illusions and lies, weaving my life together with strands of fantasy. Over time, I became a beautiful and cultured young woman who knows how to handle people. I never asked about my family, even though I knew they were keeping a close eye on me. Honestly, I had forgotten about them and acted like they didn't exist at all. A few years after I left, my aunt told me that my dad had passed away. But I didn't feel sad. On the contrary, I felt relieved and like half of my past had been lifted. At one fancy party I got invited to, I met this guy named Johnny, and I was immediately attracted to him. He had everything a girl could want. He was handsome, rich, and well-educated, which made him totally suitable for me. We chatted for a bit, and after a while, I found out that he was asking about me and was told that I was a great catch. His mom called my aunt and they discussed the possibility of us getting together. I started dating Johnny and I found that he had a good heart and great morals, which only made me love and admire him more. He was deeply affected by the story of my family's tragedy and promised to do everything in his ability to make me happy and make up for the affection I had lost. After setting the wedding date, I started prepping to be the most beautiful bride ever. I was beyond excited as everything was going just as I had always dreamed. One night, my aunt came into my room and asked me if I planned on inviting my mom to the wedding, to which I replied, "You're my mom, and your presence is enough. I don't hate her, but I don't love her either, even though she's never done me wrong. All I remember is a tired woman who worked hard all day, only to come home exhausted and make us dinner. That was never enough before going to bed." I know she did her best to provide for us, but I never felt any emotional connection to her. If you hadn't brought her up, I wouldn't have even thought about her. And how could I invite her when I've told everyone she died when I was young? Let's just forget about it, because I don't want anything to spoil my happiness right now. I'm flying high. My aunt looked at me sadly and left the room. Then the long-awaited day arrived. I had invited all my friends from school and college to witness the culmination of my success. I wanted the whole world to see what a poor girl like me could achieve. The room was packed with people and the music was blasting when Johnny came back with someone.
Hey babe, I want to introduce you to the most important person in my life after my mom. She's like my second mom. She raised me and took care of me when my mom was out partying. I can't imagine life without her.
I saw my mom standing in front of me with a mix of sadness and happiness on her face. And I was so shocked and scared that I couldn't even speak. She took my hand, kissed it, and said, "Congratulations, my lady." Johnny wasn't lying when he said you're beautiful and elegant. I wish you both all the happiness in the world. I had a daughter once, but she passed away when she was little. When I heard that, tears started streaming down my face. I never imagined that my mom would consider me dead. It broke my heart, even though I had told everyone that I was an orphan and never asked about her. Johnny hugged me and said,
Do you see, Mama Victoria? How sensitive my wife is. She's just like me with a big heart, and I'm sure she'll be over the moon when she finds out you'll come live with us to help raise our kids. Right, my love?
Huh? Yeah. It was awesome. After coming back from our honeymoon, which I didn't enjoy because of my worries, I found my mom waiting for us at our house. I took her aside immediately and said, Listen, I'm not proud of what I did. But there's no turning back now. Don't tear down everything I've built over the years. I love Johnny and I'm not gonna lose him. Don't worry. I won't cause you any grief. I'm your mom after all. From her look and tone of voice, I knew she wouldn't expose me. At first, I had a hard time adjusting to this situation, but as the days went by, I started getting used to having her with me. I left the house when I was young and never got to know who she really was. Within a few months, we really became like a mother and daughter, and I felt the love of a mother, which my aunt couldn't give me despite all her love and attention. I felt intense regret and decided to tell Johnny the truth, even if it meant sacrificing my marriage. I couldn't stand the acting anymore. My mom had suffered a lot because of me, and I didn't want to continue hurting her. I cried as I told my story to my husband and asked for his forgiveness. He smiled and said,
This is the woman I fell in love with. Did you think I didn't know she was your mom? The first time we met, I felt like I had seen your face before because you're a spitting image of the woman who raised me. Don't forget, she was young back then. And your story about your parents' death was more dramatic than necessary. So I asked a friend who works for a big newspaper to search the archives for any private plane crashes in that area. But he didn't find anything, of course.
Why did you stay with me then?
Because I loved you and decided to help you regain your life. I called Mama Victoria and presented her with my plan. At first, she refused flatly, but I convinced her that what I was doing was for your own good. I was sure that you would come to me with the truth when the time was right.
What are you going to do now?
Today, my life with you begins. I don't care about the past anymore.
My life became complete when my daughter arrived. My mom helped me take care of her and showed me how to be nurturing. I learned that parents go above and beyond for their kids and are willing to make sacrifices for their happiness, no matter what it takes. Oh, that nurturing feeling is indescribable. I really felt that a mother's love is irreplaceable in this world. Thanks, guys, for sharing this story with me and listening to it. And of course, the channel will set up another date for y'all with a new story. Until then, goodbye.